This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Alright, what is going on, guys? Jay Shy here with another one, and I invited my good friend Jordan Alves. It's been too long, it's been forever, and I figure that the best way to do something like this is to have a discussion about the Monark Demo. And I finished it twice. I wanted to do it twice because I wanted to mess around with the archetypes and whatnot. So, did you finish it?
So I got to I think it's like literally the end of the demo. I just didn't go through. It was like a locked door and this guy wouldn't open it. Not the one where you need like a combination to get the door open, but a guy wouldn't let me through. So, and then I stopped.
Wait, is it the one with the two students in front of it?
I think so. Is like one of them looks like a priest?
Priest? No, I don't remember. Wait, no. I remember there was.
You go to the roof and
we're just diving right in. We're like, no, we're not gonna waste any time. We're not gonna waste any time. We're just gonna dive right in.
Yeah.
I know that there was there was a point in the demo where I got stuck for a little bit, and it's the one where there's two students standing in front of a locked classroom, and the only way you can get through it is that you have to find a key card. That was the only part.
Yep, that's what I got stuck on at first too, because she's like, "Well, it's like the four last digits of my ID," and I was like, "I don't know where that is."
Is that where you got stuck?
No, I passed that, but I found out like that, and then I went through a few more battles, and then we had to go to the third floor where the roof was, and the door was locked, and a guy wouldn't open it, and that's where I stopped.
Okay, all right. So let's do it a little structurally. So we're both Megami Tensei fans. A lot of people who may not know you. Jordan Alves is like one of the Mega 10 fans that I've made good friends with way back in like 2013, 2014. This is when we were at the height of no, I wouldn't even say the height because I feel like it's hyped now. But
we were the precursors and the infancy stages that set the groundwork.
I would agree with that because a lot of people didn't care at the time about Mega 10 until 4 maybe. I would say about 4, maybe 4 Apocalypse. That's when people
I want to say around
really cared, and then we kind of fell off because life got in the way.
Yep.
And then we just we're like, there's new people taking our place, so let's just do it. And then 5 came out and it changed the game, and we were like, oh, okay, yeah. I guess we're back now. But yeah, I felt like there was nobody else that I could really talk about this game with except for you, because I pitched it to you. I was like, hey, there's some old school Mega 10 devs that are making this game, Monarch. You need to check it out, man. It's like Lost Dimensions. It looks like, or Devil's Survivor. That's what it looked like to me at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I pitched it to you. You saw the trailer, and I guess the rest is history, right?
I want to say, I know that I think I saw Spencer covering bits and pieces of it, but I didn't follow it super well. And then you kind of reintroduced it to me, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like a thing and has a lot of SMT-esque qualities to it. And yeah. I think it would be really cool. And it is really cool. It is a good game from the demo.
So far, yeah. So all right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. What our thoughts? First off, let's talk about because I wrote a couple of things down. So let's talk about presentation first. So in terms of graphics, first things first. I have to say this before I forget. That intro, that opening to the game, yo.
It was pretty good.
Yo, it is good. It is really good. I love the song, and the I didn't. You know what's weird is that the opening caught me by surprise. I didn't expect it. So I didn't expect it to be that good because it does it does come off a bit budget to me, you know?
A little bit.
But I think it still looks good graphically. Mm-hmm. Even though it has
I agree.
Even though it has that it has that heavy anime feel, you know? But it still looks good.
I'm trying to think of what game it's specifically like. Oh, it looked like this game looks better than this, but a lot of it reminds me of the Caligula effect.
Right. Well, it's from I think it's from like a partner studio of the Caligula effect, if I remember correctly.
That makes sense.
So
Well, it's NIS, right?
Well, NIS is the American publisher, but the Japanese publisher I think is Furyu. Like it's like kind of like, it's weird. It's like a co-developed kind of thing. It's like Furyu, but like with Monarch, it's developed by Longcross, which is like a different studio, but it's weird. It's almost like they're jointing together. So I don't know. I didn't really look into it, so I'm not gonna like say that this is what it is when I don't have all the answers, because I don't really know. But
no, I get that.
But it does look like Caligula effect. It's weird because like now I'm jumping into Caligula effect after I played Monarch. I'm like, man, maybe I should have gave Caligula effect number 2, because number 1 looked really weird to me, so I just kind of passed on it. But number 2 looks good.
It looks good. I just remember the first one being kind of jank compared to the newer version.
That's definitely what I heard. But with going back to like Monarch's like presentation, I will say this: like so far, the character models, they're not bad, but you can see that they're like very budget, like almost like sometimes Falcom games can look like that, but Falcom games has like a beautiful world. With this game, it's like you can tell that they're working within their budget because 1, it's in a school. 2, it like the dungeons, the backgrounds look cool, and the floor looks very like colorful. It has like little things here and there, but it looks very budget. But I think it's making up for that in gameplay.
I think so. I would say that is probably the strongest thing that this game has going for it so far, and especially with like the very limited exposure that we've had to it. I am curious as if the whole game will take place in the school, and like from the outside perspective cutscene where you see like the barrier over it. It does look like a large school, but at the same time, like if you're already at the roof by the end of the demo, it makes me wonder, like, okay, well then, are you actually going to be going to other places, or is it just going to be like a further expanse of that?
Yeah. All right. You want to know what I think? This is what I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So I recently read an article from the director, and he says he took a lot of notes and ideas from when he worked on Shin Megami Tensei If. And he's using that as like a kind of like a base to like run the idea off of. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, when I got to the roof, I was like, man, this is gonna be a short game. This is gonna be a really short game. And then I thought to myself, I was like, wait a minute, what if they go the SMT4 route and it's like Naruku, where you're just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, just like If, where there's like because there's like 7 sins in the game. Because when you look at the limited edition, it comes with a poster with the 7 like deities or sins, and I'm like, okay, so we might go to like several different worlds. The school is just the start, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. That's what I'm guessing. And
I think you're right, because I do remember in the demo when you have the ability to like trigger battles from your phone, it does say like the something of pride. So I'm like, okay, so that means you're definitely going to see these other worlds pop up.
That at least that's
which is it's super right. I think it's really weird that they're starting with pride, because pride is supposed to be like the gravest of sin,
right?
So I don't know, and I think that was the case with If as well. I think pride was the first one you go through. I
wonder how that's going to play into the mechanics of when you have to take the test. Because you know, when you get your final score, I wonder how that's going to play into the game's mechanics. Because
so, did you ever reach a point when you played the demo that the initial base stat that you had for your authority, did it ever get outscaled by another stat? Like, let's say you started off with pride, but then later on like greed or wrath, outscored it.
I don't know.
So does that change anything?
I don't know. And you know, it's weird.
I kept thinking, because I did notice that other stat point, which brings up another question for it too. I'm wondering if the stat distribution from battles that you get is random because it never seemed consistent
Right.
with like what got leveled up.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest with you, when I was I did read something and I just kind of glanced at it. It does tell you what each and every one of the different sins does in terms of like attributes, but I wasn't really paying much attention to it. But I'm wondering if it's going to work almost like how alignments work in Soul Hackers, like in terms of like affinities, where it's like a lawful or chaotic. If depending if you shift your different like sin, and then you go into an area of that sin, does that affect the dungeons or anything like that? And I don't know. I don't know, but it leaves a lot of room for possibility. We might be coming up with a different sort of game just talking about it.
Right. Well, I do know that your authority does change. It's like it changes. It doesn't change its race, but it changes something. I remember when I was messing around with the equipment of the vessels that you can put on them.
Yeah, I was messing around with that too.
Its name would change, and mine would go from despotic lust to arrogant lust, and then back to despotic, depending on what it had equipped. So,
Yeah,
I wonder if that also does anything for it.
I was when I was doing my playthrough and I was like messing around with the different the dolls or whatever they're called. I love, in terms of gameplay aspect, the fact that like different armors and equipment affects, like, gives them different status effects. And I was like, oh, okay, I can really mess around with this. Like the fact that you can customize the dolls, like what are they called? Authorities, right?
So the get like I was writing it down in my notes when I was going through it, and they throw like so many different like
Terms,
names
yeah,
for these
different terms.
things.
Like there's
So I'm
ego,
like, okay, so there's ego, there's authority,
monarchs, which I don't know what
there's
those are.
monarchs.
I think that's what Veritas is. He's a monarch, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Because I think that's what Nozomi named him as. Is like she's like, oh, just talk to your monarch or whatever. I was like, wait, what? I thought the protagonist was the monarch, but it's not.
But I also think the monarchs are the seven deadly sins.
Okay.
Like they are one of each of the seven deadly sins.
Okay.
I think.
So with the dolls, I know that when I was doing my playthroughs, I would mess around with that screen the most, just like tweaking it over and over and over. And I was like, I think a lot of people are gonna have a lot of fun messing around with the different doll combinations, as well as getting new characters. But I will say this for sure. All right. So when I play my strategy RPGs, I like to be very sneaky. I like to be like very strategic, and I like to plan like traps and such. The fact that final battle map, have you gotten there yet?
No, I think I was like
okay. I won't.
End of it.
I won't ruin it for you then. I won't ruin
No.
it for
Go
you.
ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay. So I hope I'm not gonna be spoiling this for anybody, but so the final like battle map, they introduce maps that have traps on them. So like there's like traps of like if you put an ally or if an enemy is in this cone, like the circular cone or area, by the time the turn ends, it like spews out poison. But there's also ones that can heal you, and I was like, oh my god, if this is gonna happen, that's gonna like open up so many different kinds of possibilities for like setting up traps and different kinds of like gameplay aspects and how you can make your characters immune. I thought that was cool. The other thing that I thought was really, really interesting was like, so there's this mechanic in the game that I wasn't prepared for that I freaking loved. And what it was is like, so I guess when you buff like an ally, you can like what it's like
Resonate.
you can resonate with you can resonate with your ally and take the buff, and it's like two people, but that also goes for debuffs. So if your ally has like a status ailment, because I was messing around with it, they have a status ailment, or if they have a debuff, if you resonate with that ally who is clean, you get all of that. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna get creative. Like, I really like this gameplay system right here. It's really cool.
See, so it's cool that they have all these like things that you can strategize and plan, but the game also kind of like deters you from being planned out, and like it almost expects you to have a plan like well before you even start the battle, because by the end of the battle you have a set amount of turns that they expect you to finish the game or finish the battle by, and depending on if you go past that or if you
your score drops.
If you do meet it, your score drops.
Yeah,
I don't think I got an A one time.
Yeah,
everything else was D's.
I never got an S. I got an A. And yeah, I think everything for me was a D. Everything else after that was a D, because I was it almost feels like the game wants you to play very aggressively for a strategy RPG, because I guess what they're doing is like, okay, so Monarch has a system in it that Lost Dimension has, but they added an extra system on top of it, which is okay. So that system where you can go insane, the when you go mad, the madness system, that's in Lost Dimensions too, but it's called Sanity, and it's the same. The more you use your abilities or your magic, the more insane they'll go, but the more corrupt with power they'll go. In Lost Dimensions, I didn't test it in Monarch, but in Lost Dimensions, if your sanity would go up too high, they'll go into a rage where they'll just hit crits, but they can't pick ally from foe. So if your allies are too close to the person that's suffering from madness, that character will attack them and insta-kill them. Like, period. They'll just die. So I didn't test that out in Monarch, but I did test out the Awakening, which was kind of like... It was kind of cool, but I feel like it takes too long. I don't know if have you tested that out? I did. It does take a very long time, and I'm wondering if there's going to be like other abilities or upgrades along the way that kind of like increase that, because at the base of when you start doing it, it takes each character like 4 taken turns to be able to at least get your bar all the way up to 100 to awaken. Because they awaken or whatever. Yeah. And then with Madness, it doesn't seem like that big of a setback to reach 100% and then having to go back to the infirmary like by default. But it also seems like I never got to 100%. I do know that I at least upgraded the Protagonist to get an ability to where the more madness he has in his gauge, the more powerful this one spell is, and it's really, really good. Yeah. Was that so on the skill tree, that was left or right? Because I know I think it was right. Yeah, see, I did. Like, okay, so we both did the same thing. We both did. I went right, and I was like, okay, maybe on my second playthrough I go left, but my first one I went right, because I was looking up the skill tree and I was like, oh, that's good. That you're gonna need that. But I will say this: I guess the reason why they added the Awakening was to mitigate the madness, because when you maximize on when you awaken, you can't gain any madness. I was looking at that, so you can use. I didn't know that. Yeah, if you awaken your character or any of your units, like, they won't suffer from madness, so they can use their skills as much as possible. How long does it work? Does it stay though? I think it stayed on for about 3 turns when I was using it. I will say this though. One of the things though with the Awakening is like the only reason why I did and I tested the Awakening was because when you fight your first real boss in the demo, he does it first. Like, he's just like doing this ability over and over and over, and I was like, why is he doing that? And then it just said like you know how in Persona where they like let's say Persona 3, like when they'll summon their persona, it'll do like that kind of like tear screen, and then you see the person's eyes, and then like really quick it does that exact same thing. And then they'll awaken, and then he'll get more steps, he'll get more movement speed, evasion, and all that extra stuff. So I thought that was cool. But the fact that enemies can do it as well as you, I was like, okay, so it's kind of like the Kagetsui in SMT5, where everybody has it, and you have to play to their you have to play the way the game is like kind of pitching it to you.
Yeah.
But that when you get there, that final battlefield is really cool. Because I was testing out the AI, and I placed my units behind this sphere with poison around it, and all of the enemies, like the regular skeletons and the dolls, they would just run into the sphere, but the bosses would literally just avoid it altogether. So I thought that was interesting. Like, they wouldn't step into the sphere with the hazard at all.
I think it's kind of cheating on the AI's part, where if you're behind a wall or a barrier, if they are a ranged character, they can still hit you.
Yeah, because they shoot from the sky. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
it's like, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that sucked. Especially if they have like no line of sight. I feel like that sucks. But
I also think, at least for me, because I haven't like gone back to like change my my Monarch or my Authority to see how the other ones work. I know with Pride it's like your basic sword unit. Lust is a ranged unit. I don't know what the other ones are.
I got Gluttony my first time.
What did Gluttony have?
Gluttony had a dagger.
Okay.
He had a dagger, but I think he had enhanced evasion. Because every time someone tried to hit me, like it wouldn't hit. But my second time I got Lust, so I was like, okay, this is cool.
Well, I just think that because the game just starts you with 2 melee units, and by having like a ranged one early on, I feel like it also just like helps you a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see what else we got. Okay, I wanted to talk about this because I thought this was really cool. Let's talk about the horror aspect of the game, because it does have one. At least it felt like horror to me when you're walking through the fog.
Yeah, a little bit.
I hope that that's a thing that keeps happening in the game, because I like the idea of dungeon crawling, and if your phone rings, all of the
everybody freaks out.
The students would freak out, and they'll just kind of like try to like send you back through the dungeon, because if you get hit by that, you automatically go all the way back. And I was like, okay, I like this. This is kind of cool, because there are some sections in the game where you would have to go to like the front of the classroom, but the door that's unlocked is at the back of the classroom, and there's all these students in the classroom just kind of like sleeping, and if your phone just goes off, it's kind of like you're kind of gonna be screwed. So you have to kind of creep your way through the students. I love that. That was cool.
Did you like the Windows 95 like startup noise that they used for it?
Yeah, it's freaking awesome, man. I loved it. I love that. I even love the fact that I was testing. I wanted to see if that worked too. The more you're in the fog, your madness increases. And if you
it increases by 1 like every like 5 seconds or something like that.
But whatever your madness is, if you go into a battle, your madness starts at that level when you go into the battle. It doesn't reset. I kind of like that. So that means there's like this madness kind of management.
I also thought that because with Hanata being your starting healer, but she can't heal herself with her ability, which I think is kind of annoying.
That hurt.
I was thinking to myself, because she hurts herself to heal you or anybody else around you.
Right.
But
but some of her skills require her to lose HP.
Right. So, but I was thinking, I was like, man, they like are really like not letting you like feel safe with healing. Like they will not let you feel like you have it under control. So at least when you finish a battle, your health does go back to max. So that's nice. But definitely in the moment where because when I was playing, I didn't realize that like by using her healing skill, that lowers her health.
Oh, you just gave me an idea. You know what you probably have to do? You probably have to resonate with someone and heal them so that it heals her.
Maybe.
That's probably what you have to do. Now, can you imagine if you do like a quad resonate? Like you have someone resonate here, and then that person resonates with someone else, and then they resonate. I haven't even tested that. So I gotta go back and test that. And then you heal, and then they all heal as a group. So I'm assuming that's how it would probably work, because I haven't tried that yet. Oh man, what? I haven't tried.
Have you utilized the defer ability that much? Okay.
Yeah. So defer is freaking great. What it does is like, well, you used it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like for everybody who doesn't know, defer is a thing that's also in Lost Dimensions. It allows you to play aggressively. Like if you want to play, if you want to push for an attack against like an enemy, use defer. And what defer is if you're on your last turn, if you move your unit up and then you defer to another unit, that unit that they deferred to gets another turn to move and attack. So it's basically like you pushing your characters forward for that last stretch. And I love that mechanic because during one of the boss fights, there's a boss that does like a kind of like an area effect hit, and it really damages like the whole group. And the fact that like I had to keep deferring with all my units and move my units in back of the boss so that I can always get back attacks and constantly get assists over and over and over. That was the only way I was going to win that fight. So defer is very powerful. It's very good. The only downside with it is that it peaks your badness when you use it. That's the only downfall, so you have to be very careful. But I wish there was a way that I can tell that this game is gonna have like a lot of item management, like especially with the what is it, mental stabilizers? I think they're called. Like, bro, I was popping those things like Tylenol like crazy. I was just like, oh god, I need this. Like, you're gonna.
Yeah, I didn't end up using any of them just because until like near the final parts of the game, because I would grind and then I would go back to the infirmary, go back grind, go back to the infirmary, and just repeat that.
Yeah, I grinded like maybe once or twice. Wait, did you do the phone call thing yet? Because I haven't done it.
Where you get the phone call, it does a really hard fight.
Yeah, it gives you like a random boss fight.
I've seen people who have done that, and it's you just die. You just die. Well, you call, and it brings you into an area where there's like 4 or 5 like level 50 enemies, and they just kill you.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. It's a good thing I didn't press that button.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's a good thing I didn't answer that call. All right, so we got. Okay. How do you feel about the voice acting? Because I felt like it was a hit and miss to me.
I like it so far.
Yeah.
I think that Nozomi is probably the most annoying. She just doesn't sound. Every time she talks, I just don't want her to talk. Like, she's super annoying.
So okay, I'm gonna tell you this. All right. So I know a lot of people are gonna like Nozomi. Okay. So the problem. Nozomi isn't annoying. I like Nozomi. I like her. The problem with Nozomi, and okay, so this is the problem with the story so far, with the demo, and it's mostly with Nozomi. That's the issue, and the problem with Nozomi is that she's inconsistent in her writing. The problem is like the placement of where things happen for her is like disjointed, and what I mean by that is like. You want to like Nozomi and you understand her cause, but even the way like she gets her powers, it's kind of like, here, you got powers now. You know, that's the part that like sucks. It's like she never even earned it.
No, that's Hanata. Nozomi's the girl who keeps calling you brother.
Oh, okay. So okay. Hanata. So Hanata is
but Hanata's like character arc is really weird too.
Yeah, Hanata is the one I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with Nozomi because she's the little sister. She's the archetype little sister. So okay, so I mix my characters up. So Hanata is the one I have the problem with, and it's mostly with her writing. But yeah, her the pacing is a bit off too, for sure. It almost feels like things are happening, like everybody is like, yeah, that thing's happening, and then it's like it's bye. It's like it just goes away. But so far, I will say this: I like the characters. The Doctor is my favorite right now. I forgot his name, but he's my personal favorite. It's probably because I'm old, but but I like him, and I like was it Hitomi? What, Hanata? Is that her name? Who's the one that with the lance and the shield? I like her.
That's Hanata.
Yeah, I like her. It's just that, like I said, her writing is all over the place. Like, she's like, 1 minute she's like, I'm sad, I don't have the strength to do this, and then you go into a dungeon, she's like, I'm gonna help you fight now. And it's like,
yep.
Okay, you gotta pick one. Like, what is it that you want to be? Like, you're all over the place.
Consistent.
It feels inconsistent. That's why I say it feels disjointed when it comes to her. Like, if she was like, I'm sad, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and then she comes to a resolution, and then she gets her powers, and then she's like, I want to fight. Then it makes sense. But it's like I got my powers, but I'm sad, and I don't feel like this, but I'm gonna help you fight, but I'm sad again. It feels like it's not in the right places. But other than that,
like the game, not the game. Well, I guess the game, but the antagonist for this demo, his name's like Hitsubashi or something like that. Super dick, super hateable guy.
Yeah, but he's continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Continue. No, you're good. He paints Hanata out to be this like cowardly person because she like failed to save her friend or something like that.
Yeah.
And she does carry that with her until she does get her powers, and then I don't know. It just seems weird because it's like you're not really like. It just happens, like you said, where it's like 1 minute you're this, and then the next minute you're that, and there's no like build up for that. So it felt really weird.
Yeah, her. For anybody watching this video and you haven't played the demo, you'll understand it when you play the demo, or if you have played the demo, if you agree with us. But it's just that she gets her powers too early. That's the problem. She should have got her powers when she's confronted by the guy that she's beefing with, and then she wants to fight, and then she earns it. But she doesn't really earn it. She just gets it because Maritas is like, I have the power to do this because the plot said so. But I will say this, even though that happens, I'm still curious to know the secrets about the school, because the writing feels like it's coming from a good place. But the issue is like everybody just kind of writes it off like it's Tuesday. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's like, oh my god, this giant thing is like surrounding our school. Where'd this mist come from? I don't know. Oh well. It's like, this is just another day. It's Tokyo.
It doesn't feel like that. This is like this probably is the very beginning of the game, like when the base game comes out.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like it is. It almost feels as if like the game dropped you at the midpoint, but it clearly didn't.
Right.
Which, like, that's another thing that I hate about demos, especially with, I'll go off topic for a minute, but with Triangle Strategy, the game very much so just straight up says, like, we're not dropping you in the beginning of the game. Like, this is taking place, like, a couple hours in, and, like, you may not be able to understand what's happening, but just try to have fun. It's like, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah. You know what's another thing that I feel like is hurting kind of like the storytelling of the game too? And I noticed that I'm starting to hate this now, is the silent protagonist.
Yeah. Which is weird because he clearly can talk. He talks when he starts the battle.
Right. He has a voice actor. But like I think and you know what? I was going to make a separate video about this, and it's like I think I've grown to hate the silent protagonist, but no, I think I've grown to like not like it, because before it never used to bother me, but I think after I was playing SMT5, and then before SMT5 I was playing a lot of the Ease games. I don't know if you've ever played those, but Adol never talks. He just says like things like yeah and okay, and that's about it. But like this whole thing of like my protagonist not talking, but he's moving his hands, and he's just like it kind of takes me out, and it's like, can you say something like?
But
like,
that is you. That's the point. That is you.
Okay, I would understand if I made the character, you know. But the problem is like I feel like when you have a silent protagonist in a JRPG that's trying to tell you this deep story, I feel like my main character should talk. Like, I can understand if like I'm playing Nocturne, it works because Nocturne is like a soulless, desolate world where you run around in. And it just doesn't work. But I always found it weird with Persona 3. I found it weird with Persona 4. I find it weird with not so much SMT4, because for some reason I feel like all the other characters kind of carry the plot. But dude, with this game, it bugs me. The silent protagonist really bugs me. I don't know why. Well, no, I know why. It's because he doesn't talk. But
Well, no, I felt the same way too, because we're in 2022 and we're still trying to drive narratives with characters that we're supposed to be able to picture ourselves as, but I feel like it is reaching a point where, like, yeah, I know that I'm supposed to be this person, but there's also that detachment by not. Because the character doesn't have personality. The personality is what you make of it, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, like even I hope that like I hope that the characters in the story
Could really
carry the plot, because him not speaking is killing. Kind of like it's really taking me out of the story. You know, like if I'm really into like watching people talk and like reading all the dialogue, which is weird because I wasn't doing much reading because this game has so much voice acting.
Right.
But the fact that he doesn't talk is like, no, don't no, make him speak. But
no, I get that.
But anyway, the last thing I wanted to talk about after that was the music. Let's talk about that music really quick, because I know me and you and I are connoisseurs of good soundtracks, vinyls, CDs, video game soundtracks, all that stuff. I like this soundtrack a lot.
I do too.
I'm not gonna lie. When I was when I saw the game, I kind of had an idea of what the soundtrack would sound like. And then I saw the trailer to the combat trailer, and I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And then I started playing the game, and then I was like, all right, I gotta listen to the soundtrack. And I started listening to it, and I was like, whoa, it's got this fusion hip-hop, which is kind of cool. Or J-pop, J-rock. It's like, it's all over the place, but I like it, and it's really good.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs right now on there is Ash. Like, I really like Ash. I don't know if you heard that one, but it's like track number 3 on the Alive soundtrack. I'll leave it in the description, like, so everybody can click it. But I don't know. How'd you feel about the soundtrack so far?
I like it. I haven't listened to all of the songs that are coming out, but from what I've heard, I really like it so far. I'm trying to honestly like compare it to another game soundtrack, and I'm having a really hard time just because of how different it is.
Right. Yeah, because it doesn't sound like your typical anime JRPG music. It sounds like I'm trying to think. If I had to compare it to something, it would almost like sound like if it was like a blend between what J-pop blended with probably like, I don't know why Samurai Shampoo keeps popping in my head for some reason, when Samurai Shampoo is more like lo-fi, and it doesn't have that lo-fi feel, but it has like this. Oh wait, all right, have you listened to the Soul Hackers Hyper Rearranged soundtrack?
It's been a while, but I remember a little bit.
It kind of reminds me of that. There's a song on that soundtrack called EL115, and it kind of reminds me of like that, but with a more upbeat rock. And I really dig it, man. I'm happy that the limited edition is being packaged with the soundtrack, because I've been doing this thing where I've been collecting soundtracks lately, so I'm like super stoked, super hyped. You pre-ordered your LE, right?
Yeah, as soon as I don't know, I feel like you linked it to me, or maybe I looked into it after you said like you should probably get this. I bought that, and I went back to look at it recently, and I'm seeing the units like drop more and more as
Yeah.
people are buying them.
People really want that LE, and that because that LE,
And it's not like expensive. Like the
no,
LE for this is more cheap than the SMT5 like limited edition.
yeah, it's super affordable. Like I think it's like $80. I think people are really jumping on it because they want those acrylic figurines. Because those acrylic figurines are the characters in their transformed outfits. What is it called again?
The Authority forms, I think.
Authority forms. And you get all 5 characters. You get what, a cloth poster with the 5 sins. You get
The OST.
the OST, and an art book, and then you get a collector's box.
Where's my steelbook? Where is the? Because there is no steelbook. I have not seen a steelbook.
No, I think the acrylic figurines took over the spot for the steelbook. So yeah. But anyway, any final thoughts? Any final fears that you have for the game or anything like that?
I think, like you said, the only thing that I'm concerned about is is whether or not the rest of the cast can carry the story, and I'm hoping that the pace, not the pace, but the
pacing of
I
the
guess like
storytelling.
not just that. I think just the narrative that the story is trying to go with so far. I hope that it at least like maintains that, because I feel like if it gets all fantastical with this like dark tone, it's going to be really offsetting.
Yeah, I think that's one of my fears. My second fear is that I hope it doesn't fall into the trap that Persona 5 did, where it blew its first villain, its best villain, as the first
and the rest
one.
of the story is
And the rest of the game is just kind of like, where's my good villains? What, that first one was so good. I hope that, because don't get me wrong, the first antagonist in Monarch, he's a creep, he's a jerk, he's annoying, you want to see him go. But the thing that I like about him is that he thinks he's the good guy. And I think that's what makes him awesome, is that he thinks he's the good guy.
That's the pride. That's the pride.
Right.
That's why he's the proprietor of Pride.
I hope that he's not the best thing about this game, and then he just goes down in chapter 1. God, fingers crossed that you guys wrote a really good antagonist for the rest of this game, because I'm really looking forward to it.
It's gonna be like the devil or something.
It's gonna be Lucifer.
Something.
Oh God, I hope they don't go down that road. I hope not. But when you start talking about like pride and stuff, that's kind of where you're going, you know. But I hope not. I hope that there is something different here. I hope the game throws me a curveball. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, so with how similar it is to, you said it's very similar to Lost Dimensions,
right.
And obviously there's a lot of inspiration there. So I'm hoping too that, and maybe this is like making the game too big, like because there already is like a lot of mechanics that are already going, which like that was the thing for me with the Caligula effect that kind of took me out, was like there was so much going on with like the interface and the battle system. Like it's crazy, because like you could like plan out your strategy and then like watch that strategy unfold. And if it didn't go the way that you wanted, you could like scrap that, start again. And it was like all these types of things. So I'm wondering if there's going to be like other things implemented into the battle system, or if it's like this is kind of like the most of it.
You know, I was actually thinking about that, and I hope that what we got was everything that we needed. And the only reason why I say that is because, so I notice a lot of games, what they do is, so that they don't throw too much at you all at once, is that you'll finish a chapter and then the game would throw another mechanic at you. And then you'll finish a chapter, here's another mechanic. And it's kind of like, well, I kind of already figured all this out. Why do you keep telling me all this stuff? Or why do you keep throwing more mechanics at me? I think that the demo gives you all the mechanics. Like one of my favorite games, even though I love that game and it got a lot of flack, but it falls into that same trap of just throwing mechanics at you, was Astria Ascending. Like, Astria Ascending does that, where it's like, oh, you finished this chapter? Hey, here's this mechanic. And it's kind of like, okay, yo, you finished that chapter after like 5 hours? Here's another mechanic. And it's kind of like, why do you keep throwing these mechanics at me, game? It's kind of like that. But, you know, this would all be solved if they just put a manual in the box.
It's true. This is very true. Because there were definitely, because like much how we said in the beginning, where I was like, well, what do these like stats impact? How do you increase these stats?
Right.
Like, how does that work? So I was looking through everything, and like they just give you like the rundown of what each of these like things represent, but they don't tell you what they do. They don't tell you like how they affect story, gameplay, what have you. So I was kind of hoping that there would be something like that, because it kind of bothers me that like I can't allocate whatever to these things. And again, I don't know what these stats do.
I hope that, and I just thought about this, I hope that the amount of stats you get is not determined on the score of the battle. Because I scored really low those last 2 battles, and I was kind of like, I hope that, I just thought about it right now actually, I just hope that that doesn't factor into how much attributes or how much points I get to add to those. You know, because that would suck. Because a lot of people like to play, especially I'm like one of those people, I like to play slow and methodically. And when you put a timer on certain things, I like, it kind of like, you know, irks me. But nonetheless, fingers crossed, because I do like this game. But anyway, so those are my fears. Those are your fears and thoughts. So I think we kind of, all we got to do is play the waiting game now. We got, what, 5 weeks left? Something
like that, yeah.
So, anyway, guys, this is Jordan Alves here, my good friend. I'll leave a link to his YouTube channel. It's been a while since you uploaded anything. I know a lot of people probably want to hear something coming from you.
I recorded my gift unboxing, but I still need to go back and maybe give my thoughts with SMT5, but I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, all right. Well, I look forward to that. So, because I want to hear your thoughts. I gave my 2 cents about how I felt about SMT5, and I'm sure a lot of people want to hear where you're coming from with this. So, wow, it is really dark in here. I just realized that. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I'll see you guys next time.